Hey, what's going on, guys? Frank here with Tithely. Coming to you in the new year, 2021. Hopefully, you've had a great start to the year. I know that we're excited at Tithely. This is actually the first episode of 2021 for Modern Church Leader. Really excited about today's guest, excited to kick off a new year, excited to see where things go. So without further ado, let me bring in our guest. Hey, Mim, how's it going?
Hi, Frank. It's going well.
That's awesome. Well, it's great to have you first guest in 2021. Excited to talk about church communications and your role at the church there. Why don't you just say hi to the audience, tell them a little bit about yourself, how you got into, ministry and working in communications at your church.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Mim Jordano, and hi to everybody in New York and North Central Church. So North Central Church is my landing pad right now. It's where I work, and I'm excited to be a part of that church. I started out, as a graphic designer, and kind of how I got into ministry was by doing the message series graphics for the local church.
Did you go to school for that? Were you
I did.
Okay, so you went and got like a graphic design degree and were headed down that path?
I got a fine arts degree at University of Colorado.
Okay.
And then got into graphic design through that by taking courses in Photoshop and Illustrator and that kind of thing. So
Right, got it. Okay.
I've always been a big fan of supporting my local church and volunteering with the gifts God's given me, and it kind of led to different positions, and now I'm at North Central. So
yeah, that's awesome. So you went to school in Colorado. How did you end up in
New York?
New York area, Syracuse, right?
Yeah, Syracuse. I met my husband in Colorado, and he decided that he wanted to be an architect. So he applied to schools all across the country and was accepted to Syracuse University. So what started out as just we're going to be here for a few years to get a master's degree ended in starting our family there and joining having great friends and joining some great church families. And that's kind of how we landed there. We were there for 14 years and just recently in 2020 moved back to Colorado.
You picked the perfect year to just during COVID and all the crazy, you decided to move all at the same time.
That's right.
I'm sure that was an adventure. So I mean, not a lot of churches in my experience with working with churches, like not a lot of churches have a communications person on staff. Maybe they have people that do some of the things a communication director would do, but they don't have a person that's dedicated completely to that. So maybe tell us a little bit about like the size of your church and how that role became like a dedicated role at the church. Because I think that's like, why is it important? Why did the church decide to invest in this role?
Yeah, it's a great question. I fully realize that most churches don't have the capability to hire someone. They're mostly trying to pay their pastor and their pastoral staff and hoping there's volunteers that do cool things with technology. It started out for me as a 8 to 10 hour a week gig, just helping with graphic design. And as my role kind of developed into creating systems that worked for the regular attender. So everything that they would see, hear, and experience is kind of my goal, to help it be fluid and simple. One of our values at the church is simplicity. So I always kind of had that in the back of my head. And a lot of times things were more difficult if you have too many logins, or you can't find what you're looking for. So that kind of was a goal. And then what we ended up doing was the church decided to expand the building because our children's ministry was growing. And so we had a building campaign. And at that point, they asked me to come on board more to help facilitate the building campaign. And so my role went from a communications manager, graphic designer, to almost a full-time communications director. So
Right.
yeah, and just to kind of facilitate a lot of the things there. But
Yeah. And tell us a little bit about your like what does day to day or week to week look like
sure.
in a communications role?
Well, it's changing a little bit now that I'm fully remote.
Yeah.
But traditionally, my week to week is, Sunday morning planning, weekly communication. I've kind of been rolling into video editing now that a lot of our stuff is online,
Okay.
and making sure that the message series graphics are ready to go. One of my goals too is to prepare volunteers a little bit more, so it's not all on, a hired staff member. That there are gifts and talents within our church body that can help make, our church, the message of Jesus Christ, more out there. So
Hmm.
I have someone else now, Chrissy, doing our message graphics. She's great, and we have another team member now helping with, getting our online presence, you know, consistent every week. So it's great to be using people in the church and their gifts and talents too. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Well, I mean, what has that transition been like for you guys to go into church online? Like, were you doing church online prior to COVID?
actually, no, but we were already ready for it. So
Okay.
we had, taken the last 2 years to buy equipment and everything we needed to go online. And
Slow and steady 2 year
yeah,
period right there. Just
it's
take
so insane.
time.
I put it in the budget. Come on, we got to get a camera. We got to get the system. So the cool thing is that we had everything ready to go, and we had, you know, a church member who was proficient in live streaming, and another one who was proficient in technology. And literally the week everything went online for COVID, I asked them, "Hey, can we get on in 2 weeks?" Giving them time, and they're like, "No, we're getting on tomorrow," which was Sunday morning. I'm like, "Oh, okay, we're going online, guys." So it was
That's
great
awesome.
to again have people in our church that because we had the equipment, they could use their gifts and talents to get church online and not skip a week. So it was
Right.
great.
Yeah, that's cool. What'd you decide to use? YouTube, Facebook, Vimeo, on your
Um,
website? Where'd
yeah,
you go?
we're kind of on everything. So
Okay.
uh, we're using online, but also Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and um, just kind of we have a Roku app, Fire TV, Chromecast, Apple TV.
You're
So
you're
we're
in
on
all the
everything.
places.
We're on all the places. Yeah.
That's cool. Did you notice anything? Like, how did your online services evolve and I don't even know, like, how you invited people, like the creative around it, like, was there an evolution over the last 9, 10 months in terms of
Yeah.
how well you produced all of that?
I think the first, I mean, initially everybody was online, right? So you have people who are normal engagers. They were in the comment thread, and it felt I don't know, super engaged. And then we
Right.
actually went back in person in June, 2 Sundays a week, and then now we're one Sunday a week in person. Or
Okay.
Sunday. There's always one Sunday a week. I mean services. So we started at 2 services, and now we're one service. Um, so the people who are the normal engagers, they're always on, they're into
Yeah.
everything. They were the commenters, and now they're the ones who are in person volunteering, and so
Yeah.
they're not the commenters anymore. So there's this disillusion that, oh, we have less engagement, but really I think people are just worshiping online. Our attendance is going up online as well as in person. So just because we aren't seeing people heavy in the commenting doesn't mean that they're not joining us in worship and
Right.
participating as a church. So
Yeah. 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 What things have you tried to create engagement online during the service?
during the service, I mean, we've tried a lot of things, you know, icebreaker questions or We have our online hosts, commenting on maybe what the pastor has said and helping to try to engage some of that.
Right.
And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It just depends on who's on, I think, and which platform they're on. So if they're on Facebook Live, they're probably more likely to have a comment stream and on Church Online. But many people are on the apps on the TVs, there's no comment stream. They're just
Right.
watching.
Yeah, there's no,
So,
yep, totally. Like when we're at home, I usually have YouTube up on the TV, so I have to have it out on my phone as well if I'm going to engage.
if you're going to be commenting.
Yeah, if I'm going to do that, I'm that guy, but not everybody's going to do that kind of thing. So I get it. Yeah, when they're, and I have a feeling a lot of people watch from their TVs, like smart TV, they're on YouTube, and they watch.
They want it big. They want to feel like they're a part of it. Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. Like what else have you guys done around this church online? And I'm asking specifically because I think, our audience is always, we have a lot of smaller churches, and I think any ideas that people can pick up from what other churches are trying that may have worked, or failed, lessons learned. But what other things have you guys tried over the last 10 months just related to like your role in communications and engaging your church online?
A lot of it is engaging in the middle throughout the week as well. A lot of times people were used to attending in person on Sunday morning, and a lot still do. But now, a lot of people are just online. So one of our big goals is throughout the week, is to connect throughout the week, not just this once a week connection. And then, we've lost you. So even online, though, that doesn't happen. You're not interacting in person with each other. So how do you connect midweek? And that's part of one of the reasons we started, we're calling it continuing the conversation. And we're starting small groups that are done through Zoom. And so the message happens, and then we have one of our leaders do a continuing the conversation video. Basically, how are they responding to the gospel message that was preached on Sunday? And then we want everybody to get involved in a small group. And right now they're on Zoom so that people can meet weekly, and they're not worried about COVID. They're not worried about, the Syracuse winter storms that tend to shut things down all the time.
That's a whole nother shutdown reason that I guess just happens automatically.
Yeah, that happens every year, not just COVID years. But just making it where now you're connecting every week, and the groups are small enough. And then if you feel comfortable getting together, you can get together once a month over a meal, or just to have fun together. And so kind of opening up that midweek connection is key, because we still want people to grow in relationship with each other. We still want people to, and we want to teach them how to respond to the gospel message in their hearts, in their daily lives. And the question we like to ask a lot is, how are you living on mission? Because we can preach the gospel and be missionaries in our everyday lives and everything we do. Just because, I work at a church, but that doesn't mean if I go to the gym or other things I do, if I take my kids to sports, I'm not living on mission everywhere I am.
Right.
So most people, they don't work in a local church, and really, the idea has been, let's bring people to the church to hear the gospel, but yet we can be the gospel wherever we are. So getting people together weekly and talking through the gospel and how to respond to it in their own personal lives teaches them how to also get out there and, be the gospel everywhere they are.
Yeah. No, I love that. And it's different. I love that I guess you kind of called out two things. Like you've got the, weekend service, but then you're doing this kind of response midweek thing, and then trying to encourage people into Zoom small groups. What does that response look like? Like, how do you, is somebody on their iPhone recording it, or do you have them go into the church and produce it in a higher quality way? Like, and then how do you distribute it out?
Well, I'd love to do it in a higher quality way. I think we'll get there.
Hey, iPhones are pretty good. Okay.
I know they're really good, And yeah, one of our staff members is an Android person, whereas everybody else is iPhone. And so we're like, wow.
Yeah, there's going to have to be some serious conversations this year.
Yeah. I know, right? But yeah, so because everybody has great devices, it's easier to kind of coach them how to do it in their own space, what kind of background to do. Give them a ring light. Those aren't too expensive. Give them a little mic, to connect to their iPhone. And so for the most part, we started these videos in, I think, September or October, just to start with there. And then we're actually launching our small groups officially this month. We did a beta group in November, December. And so those videos, we're just kind of having the leaders do them at home. And then that's part of my weekly responsibility. I take their video, edit it, and push it out into our social media. And then now I'm going to be getting it into our app push notifications as well, just to kind of another way to get people engaged in, the message and their own thinking through their own personal response, and hopefully get them connected in a group too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I guess in every Sundays and then your weekday kind of midweek responses, you can always be talking about small groups and letting people know where to go to find a group and jump in.
Yeah, and making it available for anyone to jump in at any time, because what happens a lot of times, you go through a book or curriculum, and if you don't get in at the start, you don't really want to start in the middle or even near the end.
Right.
But if it's connected to the Sunday message, that's fluid. And if you missed it, you go back and watch it because we have it on our app. So it's great. But.
Yeah, I love that. So you mentioned your app a couple times. Let's talk about, your church app. You happen to be a Tithely customer, which is awesome, and we appreciate that. So you guys launched your church app, your Tithely church app in like October, November, it sounds like. And like, how are you using it to engage with your community? How does it fit in with your communication strategy?
Absolutely. We had a church app before, but we just switched and launched our Tithely church app in November. And I guess part of the way we're using for communication, I see the website and the church app as kind of two different types of customers that I'm trying to communicate with. So the person who's coming to our website is usually the first time guest who's checking our church out for the first time. And they want to know, what does the pastor look like? When do you meet? What is the church like? Is the website cool? Whatever they're looking for.
Yeah.
And the person who's got our app is usually someone who says, okay, I'm attending this church on a regular basis. I consider myself a part of this church family. So what's going to be on the app is a little bit different than what's going to be on the website. Now, I kind of want some things to be the same, because I don't want people, they have to search for things super hard. Another way of simplifying it. But there's some things I do want on the app that is only on the app and it's not on the website. Because that regular church attender, I want to give them a reason to open up the app every week on a regular basis. So one of the things that we have on there is our message notes. And of course we have, our weekly sermons, which are also on YouTube, which are also on, our website. But then we have the prayer request area as well. So if they want to check out our prayer request or submit a prayer request, they have to turn on the app. And so just kind of making certain things for the church family attender. They call it their home, and what are they going to find when they open up the app, versus someone who's checking us out for the very first time. Right. They're going to go to the website.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And so sermon notes sounds like it's a big part of the kind of where you send people, you get them from the app. And you also mentioned small groups. So your small groups kind of follow the sermon notes from that week kind of thing. So it all kind of lines up. So I can, pastor preaches on the weekend, sermon notes are in the app. I can take my notes during the lesson. Then I can go into my small group with my notes right there on my phone and kind of do that whole thing like week by week.
Right. So it's a circle, right? Everything leads to the next. And if you missed it, you can easily find it, and it carries you. So the sermon message carries you to the group that you're in, and
Right.
and you've got your notes right there. Um, so absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. We're working on, like in-app, like small group chat. Well, so part of that circle, which I think, right, like having your small group experience, but bringing it into the church app and maybe being able to chat about the notes from that week and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I love kind of how you guys are thinking about it. And then with the weekend or the weekday kind of response, I forget what you called it. But the
Oh,
response,
continuing the conversation. Yeah.
continuing the
Cool name.
conversation. So you guys are thinking about like bringing that into the app, um, in order to kind of drive more engagement there, and then
Right.
send a push notification that that thing is in the app. What's going on with all that? Like, how are you guys thinking through launching that and bring it into the app, those kind of things?
Yeah. Some of it is, so one of the things I like about the app is that in order to have our message in there, we had to put it through a free platform like YouTube. And that, in a way, helps us build our social media platform as well, because
Right.
now we're having to have things in not just in a silo, but it's out there for anyone to find. So having our continuing conversation group, like our leader videos, also be in their own playlist, and having that playlist on the app and being able to push it constantly. So if the playlist is also connected with a chat, um, then we can, everything bounces off the other. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I love it. One of our customers does, I think I was telling you before the show, but they do like a daily devotional, and they
Mm-hmm.
put the daily devotional in their church app. They send a push notification every morning at about 6:30 a.m. And they're probably the most, like when we look at analytics across our platform, like they get the most engagement in their app because of that, like daily devotional push notification.
Yeah.
They have, it's a pretty big church, so they have thousands of people every morning opening it and looking at their
That's
content.
amazing.
So, yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
you
cool.
can't underestimate the push notification. Because
Absolutely.
people look at it just like with their text. They're always going to open up a text and
Yeah,
take
and
note.
if you actually have good content, if you're doing a weekly response, the continuing the conversation, and it's good, and it's people that they want to hear from. I mean, you're probably going to get most of the church opening it, on whatever, Wednesday morning when you guys push it out.
Right. And being consistent is key
Yeah.
too. Like having it be, for us, if it's weekly, having it be the same day of the week, or, and hopefully getting up to a daily thing maybe. So
Yeah.
that'd be
You're
great.
gonna have to get everybody, the whole staff and a few volunteers all recording every single week. I think what this other church does is they record them in batches. So they'll,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
one pastor will record, 7 days of videos all at once, and they'll just knock them out. So that's kind of their production.
That's a good way to think of it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So they do kind of a bunch in a row, versus having to record them every day, kind of making it, real time.
Now, if I could just get our pastor to, record 4 weeks of messages out in advance.
If you solve that problem, I feel like you could be a consultant to every church in the world.
Right? Yeah.
All of them.
No, it's usually Saturday night.
Yeah,
We're doing
yeah.
something different. No.
Well, this has been awesome. Like, what's on your mind for 2021? Like, kind of as we wrap up here, like, what are you thinking about? We're still, like, it's a new year. We're still kind of in the COVID world. There's vaccines, like there's progress, but we're still very much in a different kind of place as a church. How are you guys thinking about church in 2021? And, where does communications play a role in all of that?
Yeah. 2021 is one of those things where you want to prepare, but then you want to be also prepared for everything being upended on you.
Right. Yeah.
But one of the key things on my mind, and our leadership mind, is if we have someone who's checking us out for the first time online, or they happen to come in person, how do we make sure we don't lose them through the cracks, or that first time guest interaction. How do we lead them from interacting the first time, maybe online, and then actually coming and being a part of our church family?
Mhm.
And so, a lot of times, I think it used to be if you didn't have an awesome website, um, people weren't going to check out your church. So
Right.
now it's if you don't have an awesome live stream, you know, people aren't going to check out your church. So it's just a different way of thinking and being prepared with, okay, do we change our stage presence? Do we change our video? What is causing a distraction that causes people to check us out once and then not again?
Mhm.
But we've had several people who have started attending in person, or they've come to our foundations class called Roots. They've told us that they've attended online 5 or 6 times before even walking in the door.
Yeah.
So that says something. That says that, oh, we can't have things being totally substandard or, and I don't know, it just gets you thinking a little bit different. And, if someone's coming through the door through an online live stream, now how do we carry them to be a part of our church family? What needs to be, what classes need to be online um, before they start attending in person? And I think the goal is to continue to, make sure and connect people. If they're not comfortable in coming in person, we still need to find a way to connect them online with others so
Right,
that when they
right.
do come, they feel like they know people and that they're connected. So
Yeah.
that's
Zoom
kind of
small
our,
groups for the win.
I know, right? So hopefully these Zoom small groups that we're kicking off this year will kind of help new people who are coming in and don't feel connected to at least feel connected via Zoom. And then
Right.
by the time they start coming in person, um, they're like, oh, I know people. I feel comfortable
Totally.
coming. So,
I mean, it's amazing, in a different context, but very similar. Like Tithely is a remote company, so we do everything on Zoom, and we usually get together once a year, and we bring everybody, to San Diego, or I think last year we did it in Dallas.
nice.
Bring everyone together, and they've never met, right? They've only known each
Mhm.
other on Zoom, but when you get together, it's like this big family reunion. Like everyone
Right.
really feels like they know each other because of Zoom and Slack, right? Those are kind of our
Yeah.
two main
Those
tools
are
that
two too. Yeah. No.
yeah. So you guys use Slack at the church?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, love that. Love that.
Yeah.
I've only heard a few examples of Slack being used at a church, but we use those too.
hmm
And yeah,
Slack
it's amazing.
helps me. Slack helps us keep our conversations in one place. Instead of like, okay, where was that? Was that in my text or my email or my, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
we keep
yeah.
it in one place.
Um, as it relates to, the new year and connecting with new people, you mentioned, kind of using text messaging as a way to kind of follow up. Like,
Mm.
why is that important to you guys? Why are you thinking about text messaging and using it as a follow-up tool?
Yeah, last year we actually started. We call them the high card. The So someone says hi to us.
Yeah, yeah, I got
um,
yeah.
yeah, hi. um, so we would actually had a plan where someone on our pastoral staff would reach out through text to the person if they put their phone number there. And we found that our response was so much higher than
Really?
emailing or um, even trying to call them. So if we text and if our pastor texts, or they were more likely to text back and possibly also come again. So
Mhm.
it just gave us most people will open up their text. And
Yeah.
so Tithely offers the
Open up
messaging platform,
right? Like, they'll open up all of their texts. They
all their
don't leave
texts.
yeah.
Yeah, because they don't want that little number there
Yeah.
that says that they didn't open it. Yeah, so they'll open up all their texts. And anyway, that's just a way that we're planning to expand our interaction with our guests and our regular attenders.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we're definitely seeing a lot of good early results since we launched our text messaging platform last year, with churches using it for follow-up and kind of automating some of that process and being able to do like two-way engagement back and forth. So it's
Yeah.
been cool to watch churches kind of start to adopt it. And there's, with COVID and church online and going into this year, it's kind of a no-brainer in terms of connecting with new folks and even connecting with the church. We have some churches that use it for their, they'll send out an announcement or like a reminder right before church on Sunday, like, hey, church is about to start in 10 minutes. Here's the link, right? Just kind of making sure like you're distracted at home or whatever, or you don't know where the link is, but you get it right before service starts.
Yeah, so we've been using a push notification every week for that.
Yeah, I love
but
that.
adding it in the text as well. If someone doesn't have the app and they're in our system, they're at least getting notified. Hey, get online.
Yep, we're all here. Well, Mim, this has been awesome. Where can folks go just to check out your church and how you guys are doing church online and all those kind of things?
Yeah, absolutely. Our website's northrural.org, and our social media is, whatever / North Central Church. And yeah, you can check out what we're doing, and you can contact me personally as well. And if a church leader has questions, or I'm happy to answer it or help with process along the way. So it's great to have people who've been there, done that, and you don't have to recreate the wheel.
100%. Well, as a matter of fact, we very commonly give away a pair of AirPods to people who are kind of on the live and active in the comments. So if you have any questions for Mim, everyone watching live, or some of you guys catch the recording, pop a question in the comments, and Mim, maybe we'll ping you to jump back in and answer anything that people ask in the comments.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, Mim, thanks for jumping on. Thanks for your time. And we hope you have a great day. And thanks to everybody that joined us today. Appreciate you guys. Love all the engagement, tons of questions and comments. And it feels like there's churches from all over the world jumping on today. So yeah, really, really fun. But great to see everybody. We'll see you guys back next Tuesday. Same time, same place for another episode of Modern Church Leader. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Mim.
Thanks.